All right, welcome everybody to another reaction video on my YouTube channel, Kirk Barbera. And as you may or may not know, I run a literature magazine called troubadourmag.com, and I'm going and entering into the crazy world of music and rap. And I just say crazy because I'm not actually a very musical person. In high school, my friends called me musically challenged. And that was when I tried to play an instrument in particular, and I just could not do anything. I was just the worst. I just don't have rhythm, I guess. I have a little bit of rhythm, I think, but I don't know, maybe I just don't feel it inside me in the same way that some people seem to. I definitely have a different relationship to music than it seems other people do. But today we're going to do a reaction to something that I am almost wondering if this might be some kind of joke. I don't know. I mean, I'm so outside of this world. I have no idea what's going on, even in the reaction video world. But this is by Adam Todd, who said, "React to Killah Priest in secret anticipation." Now, just from the cover or the screenshot from YouTube, it looked like a bizarre, surreal is the word that came up. And let me just actually might as well just pop it up and we'll get started here in a second. I don't know anything about the copyright on this one, so I'm just going to play it through and find out what happens. But as you can see, you have a tree with, it looks like maybe it was smoking pot because it's got a pot tree and you got a funky little, so it might be some kind of psychedelic thing. I don't know. I mean, I remember, I've done acid before, and I had my friend with me, and he showed me some creepy, weird videos that you're supposed to watch when you've done acid. And this right at the beginning kind of feels like that. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. All right, so let's get into this reaction, and yeah, we'll see what this is all about. Some sounds of the forest, the jungle. I don't know what that is. I'm liking that.
Above the diaspora of Africa, aboard a craft sits 143,999 passengers. I was the last of them, but in its true diameter, it can fit the whole population of Canada, alongside with half of Panama. We landed far in a place called the Atlantis Star. We deboarded, we see forests, we seen deep waters. Beneath the orbit's unbelievable gorgeous. It had diverse woodlands, ponds, lakes, and brooks encaved inside of an amethyst cushions. Then appeared what looked like bushmen coming from around these sort of old trees. The closer they came, the more their faces looked more and more holy. They approached me, pointed slowly to the well-developed ground that instantly became a mound. At the same time, their trees made this incredible sound. Their grass looked clear as glass, with shrub layers, citron rug prayers. Above was glaciers, around us was acres, and these people called themselves the saviors. Amongst their cliffs, crags, and rocky mountainsides, we the Anunnaki island guides. They said, "Well done, welcome. The floors is just 1,000,000 miles up high, and you are standing on top of the sky." They said we'd take you up by standing on a telepad. It was hella fast, no craft, no path. We was just there in a flash. They said, "Welcome to our place." I saw Olmec face at the base, all the way to the dining area. It was filled with ruins and blueprints and diamonds they gave to Sumeria. They said, "Welcome to the nebula, where the impossible is regular." We're part of the Alpha and Omega blood line, and this is the house of the senators. Before the BC settlers, we are the pyramid creditors. We planted the cacao, but then they worship us as the cow, the fish and the fowl, the cat and the owl. They said we came to the crowd and ascended up in clouds. They printed us in the Tao and the Tao. Rebelled with the tribes in Kenya called the Mau Maus. All the natives in Virginia joined the powwow. Kosher food and halal. Black child along the Nile. The Yahweh trial. The UFO files, but you with us now. The place where isotope teleportation is allowed. Their profile was a Western old style. They had platinum hair with gold brows. They were robed down with no smiles. They move like laser lights when you're trying to hold it still to a wall and all the lights is off. And while you hold the laser, you cough. They are the force. They turn disobeyers into a pillar of salt. And they have inventions still in the vault. It gets real as you thought. The alchemists, they turn still in the quartz. Inside the raindrops, they place in the leptons and the corks. The Ethereal gods from the halls of the crystal courts. The judges sit on the mothership that turn colors like a cuttlefish for those who discover it. We created the covenant. We are the higher government, the spiritual Republicans. The prophets were our publicists. And to open up their eyes and behold another disc. Shape, shining, flying object. 2 became 18 as the other split. And 18 became 40 after a couple more shifts. Then there sat a green shuttle in the mist. All of this, the air ruffled, but the sound had a muffled pitch. Then the craft on the lower and the upper switch. And their people was controlling it all by doing a subtle twitch. I mean, the brother was quick. It hovered and blip, 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 blip. I said, wait, are we going backwards or forwards? Eastern or western? Are we taking a northern or a southern trip? He said, in this place, it doesn't exist. Now zoom into the light on that mothership. Now zoom back out as you puffing a spliff. Getting a buzz from one hit. Frozen stiff with a blunt on your lip. And drugs in the dish. You at a reggae club with a chick. Rubbing her hips. You got nugs of that piff. I submit at the summit above the cliff. Of that which cometh. And that which goeth. No man knoweth the day nor the hour. Purple orbs empower me. As I absorb the flower. And is all devoured. They as tall as towers. The fog, the showers, it may be possible, but it's too difficult. Always said by these beings called the doubters. It may be difficult, but it's possible. Always said by these beings called the routers. Then came these beings of kings and queens called the strouders that wore a cloak of smoke and sparkles gleamed from their trousers. They spoke louder and more prouder, calling the other gods cowards, while the Elohim scoured. Was this from prescription over counter? Or my visions of a close encounter?
Do you indeed think that there is life on other planets? Do you think there's life on other planets?
Oh, I don't know.
Would you like to think about it for a second?
No, not really.
Tell me, do you think there is life on other planets?
Well, I'm not quite sure, but I suppose there would be.
You seem definite. You seem definite.
Definitely.
How do you see this life and where?
Oh, I've seen a flying saucer.
You've seen one?
Yes,
Where was
definitely.
this?
At Lane Cove,
When was this?
1953.
You don't think this is a figment of your imagination?
Several other people with me saw it.
You all had the same figment. What did it look like?
It was standing up there, still,
Just suspended in space.
with colours coming out of it.
That's all inside.
It was around.
Do you think this was sent from another planet? Do you?
I really do. Well, where else would it come from?
Do you think there's life on other planets?
Oh, well, I wouldn't like to really discuss that.
Why not?
It's a debatable point, I suppose.
What do you think yourself? You must have an opinion.
Well, definitely not.
Not?
Not.
Well, what leads you to say that? Scientific investigation or?
Well, only working off the theory of the Bible. Well, there's only one world, isn't there? And,
But do you think that can stand up to present scientific investigation?
I think it
biblical
could.
creed? Do you think so?
I think
as far
it
as
could.
the universe goes.
Mhm. Definitely so.
So I assume that was the album cover. So I was I was unexpected. I had no idea what to expect at all. I guess I couldn't say it was unexpected. Yeah, I mean, I want to give you my honest first impression because it's complicated to follow what was going on a first impression basis, right? So like I was hearing the words, it made sense, and this is the something that happens in poetry all the time, and I think it's one of the reasons why people give up on poetry a little too easily is the first read through isn't comprehensive, or just doesn't strike you as, full of any kind of meaning in it, that it has actual worth to digging into it, and that there's actual knowledge or something to dig out of a poem. And the thing that I tell people who say that is that when you read it once or even twice or three times, so you have a sense of the totality, then you can go back and kind of look at it, and then some of the things make more sense. I say this with Shakespeare sonnets all the time, that, it takes some time in reading and rereading in order to really understand it. And part of unlocking a Shakespeare sonnet, for instance, are those last two lines that they have. And, so the way I think of poetry is that poetry is not meant to be read, it's meant to be reread. And this is, I think, a song that's not meant to be heard, it's meant to be reheard, right? So I have to listen to it a couple of times, because I could tell there was some kind of story going on about him going to another planet, or thinking he went to another planet, or, did he or not? I don't know, right? Like, I think he did, or, maybe that's the point, is he doesn't know either. And maybe there's something about drugs that he was taking. I heard something like that, and I was like, okay, this makes me think of like Joe Rogan and the kind of LSD trips, and, what is an LSD trip? What if you could take your, what if you could take your consciousness somewhere else? Does that mean you go somewhere else? Like, that's kind of the impression I got. I really enjoyed how articulate this was. I know there's like a whole movement or there was, I don't know if this is still a thing. This is just how old I am, I guess, or out of it, I should say. There was a whole thing of mumble rapping, and I just didn't like, because, I at least want to be able to understand you a little bit. So that'd be nice if I could hear the words somewhat, or at least it's theoretically possible to hear and understand each individual word, so I can kind of bring them in my mind. I think that's an essential part of all communication, and something that mumble rap, for whatever reason, is getting rid of. But anyway, I liked that I could hear the words. The words were nice and pleasant. I liked that it was a very calming, this is definitely something I would say, I'm not a huge smoker, but I definitely will smoke. In California, I can actually, or I'm in the Bay Area, right outside the Bay, right outside San Francisco. You can actually order weed to be sent to you, which is really nice, because I've lived in places where that was not the case, of course, as I think most of us have. So, I have a feeling that this would be a really good song to listen to high. That's my assumption. And so I think I'm going to give it a shot at some point. I don't think I'm going to record it, though. Sorry. I don't know if I want to record that. And again, I don't really smoke that often. It's pretty rare. But yeah, so thank you for the recommendation. And send some more recommendations, like and subscribe. It was an enjoyable, calming thing, moment. And I want to kind of experience more of that. And more of really anything. Like, I'm trying to get a wider range of songs into my repertoire, because I have a really hard time of finding the right kind of songs when I want them. So thank you.